Don't forget, on DraftKings Sportsbook this season, new customers can bet $5 and pocket $150 in bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can get a no-sweat same-game parlay every day. Download the app and use the promo code BERRY when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. It's time for some pickup lines, as we always do here on Fridays. Jay and I go with one of our favorite bets of the week. Matthew, you can only pick one. Jay, what are you looking at going into the weekend?
So today, Connor, I'm looking at Russell Wilson over 34.5 yards, Matthew, for his longest completion against the Detroit Lions. And the angle here, there's two things. One, angle against the Detroit pass defense, which has been dreadful for a couple of months now. This is hit in 4 of their past 5 games. They give up a ton of big plays. There's just no hope in that secondary at the moment. And here's the other thing. Russell Wilson, he has the 4th longest time to throw in the NFL. The only guys who take longer are Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar Jackson. So Russ, he is able to wait there for the long routes to develop, and teams have been able to hit these plays consistently against Detroit. This bet cashed on Thanksgiving against the Lions on the first play of the game when Jordan Love threw 53 yards deep to Christian Watson. So I think Russ, he's always been a great deep ball thrower. Cortland Sutton has been his man, I think, against this Detroit defense. And also the other thing is his passing numbers have been depressed in the past 6 weeks or so because they've been winning games so comfortably. Yeah. They're 4.5-point dogs in this one. I think he'll be throwing a little bit more, and I think he goes over 34.5 longest completion.
All right, Matthew, I'm going back to what we ended with in the last segment. DeVonta Smith over 59.5 receiving yards. Jay hinted at Devon Witherspoon did not practice yesterday. We'll see his status. Jamal Adams didn't practice. You probably want Jamal Adams out there in coverage for this one, honestly, but he didn't practice as well. Listen, this Seahawks secondary, as good as Witherspoon has been, they've been bad this year. They're 25th in the league in pass yards allowed per game. They might be without their best player. That could make them possibly the worst secondary playing this weekend. I think DeVonta Smith gets that 60 yards.
Yeah, I mean, boy, both of those are really good bets. I actually like both those bets quite a bit. I'm a little nervous on the Russell Wilson one just because I know they're bad, but just I also think this game's in Detroit. This is a game they need to win after getting embarrassed last week. So I'm going to lean with DeVonta Smith, just, better quarterback, better situation. I'm going to go with Connor here, but keep your phone on in case, we'll see how it goes.
I always keep it open.
Come roll through later at night after, I'll take Connor home with me, but,
I always check it just before I go to bed.
Yeah, good.
Just in case.
You up?
Another bet
roll
I like
through
this week is I actually like the New York Jets to cover plus 9.5 against the Dolphins. That line has been going the other way. I just think the Dolphins, their offensive line, might have just reached the point of no return. They're talking about starting guys like Jonathan Harrison.
He was on his couch last week.
He hasn't played football in 4 years, and he was bad when he did play.
Yeah.
More than
He's
4 years
Jet.
ago. Yeah. And so
revenge game,
he's
Jonathan
going to be
Harrison?
the starting center, replacing Connor Williams, who might be the best center in football. I think that's a problem. I think Tua is a guy who's very dependent on his infrastructure, and if he doesn't have an offensive line, if he potentially doesn't have Tyreek Hill, I think you're banking on a lot of upside with that plus 9.5.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, the Jets have played, and Wilson's played better as well. I've said this before. I mean, I just said this earlier. But I like the under in the Bills-Cowboys game, under 15.5. I feel like those are two decent defenses, two offenses that obviously the Cowboys have been great, but the Cowboys offense did not look like great against Philadelphia last week as well. And the Bills offense has struggled all year long. And so going up against the Cowboys defense, that strikes me as a lot of points in a game in which you need to go. By the way, Brian Robinson officially out. That just came through. So Brian Robinson officially out. Antonio Gibson will get the start for the Commanders on Sunday. I do think he's a top 20 play.
Yep. Just lastly on that Dallas-Buffalo game, looks like there will be a little bit of rain and wind in Buffalo on Sunday, so that certainly helps the under.
There you go.
And if you've been to Buffalo, a little bit of rain and wind in Buffalo,
I spent one magical night in Buffalo.
Yes.
I'm well aware of that city, me and Jay. Hey, it's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. For Jay, for Connor, for Denny Carter, for Penn State Blake, I'm Matthew. Peace out. We'll see you Sunday morning. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.